I'm going to hijack your meeting here a second and make a massive announcement. So you've seen us post this a lot on social media and you wonder what this is, the Skeleton Crew. This is a group of individuals I work with, and what we're doing is a new InfoSec initiative. We will make the official public announcement and the sign up and everything in late second quarter. What Skeleton Crew is it's a hand up instead of a handout, and it's an opportunity. We have created a series of tiers of scholarships to make sure that people can get to Vegas, to get to DEF CON, to get to B-Sides, to get to Black Hat. We'll foot the bill. We're doing this so people can get involved and get started. So if you're a college student or a high school student, we have the ability to send you out there. Granted, some legal issues we'll have to go through with your parents, but we can get you out there, cover everything so you can get started and actually see what things are and learn. If you're trying to break into the industry and you just can't get into the industry, you can't get a foothold, we're going to help you out with this. We're going to get you out there, we're going to get you in a conference, we're going to get you introduced to people, and so on. If you're currently in the InfoSec industry and you just can't get out there, you don't have the money, you don't have the time or whatnot, and you just can't justify the cost, we're going to help you with that. This is very clear, and I'll make sure everyone understands it. This is not a charity. This is not a tax write-off. This is not cause-based marketing. We are doing this because we believe very strongly in the industry, and we're here to help take the industry to a whole nother level. We are also very blessed because of this industry. And rather than going around showing off our wealth and whatnot, fancy cars, big booths and whatnot, displays of wealth in Vegas, we would rather give the opportunity for people to get to Vegas. So we will be announcing late second quarter the different tiers and how to apply and how to conduct yourself through the process and what the process will be. And then we'll carry it out. We will need help from the community, and we're not talking about financial. We'll need help with people if you're interested. When we get out to Vegas, helping people get around. So when we have the younger kids, when we have people who are trying to break into the industry, we need and want your help to show them around, get them introduced to your friends, go up and talk to them, help include them into our community and help build something. So in the following months, we're going to be releasing more and more details about this, but this is something we believe in. And once again, this is not a tax write-off. This is not a scam. This is not a stunt. We believe so heavily in this industry and everything. We're going to make sure that more people have opportunities. And we're going to challenge everyone else out there as well to help. Rather than showing off what you have, reinvest in the community and help people out. If this doesn't make sense to anyone, please see me afterwards and I'll explain it. So while that's done, we'll get back to why you came here for this. Woo! Thank you. So OSINT is open source intelligence gathering. And what that means for everyone is we go out and we can find all sorts of information free. Like on Google, we can look up all sorts of crazy stuff. But there's a whole bunch of other resources and methodologies to do that. Why this is important is you start beginning to understand the footprint of your target. So if you're pen testing or doing an assessment, you need to know where things start and stop. You also need to understand what people are posting out there and what people are releasing. Or you may need to understand what the actual perimeter of an external network is. Because sometimes the external and internal perimeter of a network are the same thing. OSINT's important because you start going out the whole process by searching for items. When you're doing this, it's benign. You're not touching anything. No one knows you're doing it because no one sees your Google searches. No one sees if you're running Maltego and other tools. It should be the first step of your engagement. 80% of my engagements and audits have footholds that end the whole game just by OSINT. Because OSINT is the most powerful step in pen testing. And we're trying to make it much easier and easier to execute and just all around not the pain in the ass that it is. So OSINT is just everywhere, all these crazy resources. Like, I was very careful not to use anyone here or do anything that might anger someone. But the speaker from a couple meetings back, John Strand, you can see who he's related to, who he interacts with online. You start to understand that there's all sorts of other uses and contexts for OSINT, rather than, hey, I got your IP address, or hey, I saw your stuff on Twitter. There's geolocation and all sorts of fun stuff. The problem is there is just tons and tons of tools. Kali alone has over 56 tools that it ships with inside that are for OSINT. Half of them I can guarantee you don't even use or touch or are probably not aware of. But they're very powerful. And even better is what they come out with, and the output, the context, is extremely powerful when you put it into a different view. However, it's really hard when you're doing testing. Say you've got 800 IP address assessment. I mean, you don't really have time to sit down and go through OSINT on a lot of things. You got to make it fast. And it's overwhelming with half the stuff that's out there. It's pretty amazing. I think someone did a statistic that 20 new sources a day come out, different resources and tools for OSINT. So it's just overwhelming. So a lot of the times with all these tools, we don't understand the impact of OSINT and what can be done with it. How many of you have LinkedIn accounts? Thank you for providing me with a user ID list and an address list for phishing. So your social media sites, especially the career-based ones such as LinkedIn, Data.com, Salesforce, Jigsaw, etc., you can look up a company by name, see their employees, and sometimes you can get information on LinkedIn. Most people really stop and go, oh, I kind of am a stalker, creepy man, and I go through and see what's on LinkedIn, and that's it. That's a user list on there. That's also a list of emails, because it doesn't take much to go out and search and find out, hey, what is the email format of that target company? Is it first name dot last name? Is it first initial last name? If so, you've got all the names out there from LinkedIn, Jigsaw, and all those others. You can quickly flip into email addresses for a phishing campaign, and then you can check and validate them. You can also use it to create user IDs and brute force things such as web mail portals or VPNs or other things like that. You start to understand what the actual impact of OSINT is and what you can do with it. But it's always hard with all these tools out there that you use. They just all have all sorts of odds and ends. You run from the command prompt. You have to do this or that or change a config file, and it's just crazy. It wastes time. So what we decided to do is create raw OSINT. It is labeled as a community edition because we don't want anyone selling it. We don't want anyone profiting from it. We want it to be free. We want people to join in and start developing with us because this is a development framework for OSINT. There's a couple key things that differ from a lot of what's out there, and I'll go over that really quick. This being set KC, we always have to drop the first stuff and the best stuff here. Tonight's no different. This is a preview. This is not yet going out to everyone. You guys are getting the links and the information before everyone else. And tomorrow evening, it goes live. So please go out and download it, have fun, but please be safe and legal with it because you can get into a lot of trouble. So this is the interface. That's it. We wanted to make it very simple. We do all the hard work on the back end. How this works is this sits on top of the default Kali 2.0 instance right off the bat, right off the ISO. If any dependencies are needed, it'll help you with that. The documentation on the GitHub will help you with that as well. But we wanted this to sit on top of something that everyone uses, everyone has access to, and everyone can mess around with. We didn't want a unique framework. We didn't want anything that's proprietary. We wanted it easy for you to use right out the box, go home, slap it in, and start hacking stuff. No configs, no nothing. We didn't want you to mess around with stuff. So we made it simple. You simply put in the domain name of what you're targeting. It goes through and manages all the underlying programs that are within Kali and the command line programs and services that are in there, such as host and dig and everything else. What we do is we go through and massage everything for you and spit out the results, which I'll show you here shortly, in a nice, easy-to-use format. Step one, we output a directory with the domain name, so it's easy to find, and we put all the artifacts and findings there. So that way you can find out all sorts of stuff, such as metadata and files. You can find out user lists, user information, user emails, email formats of a company. You'll basically own a company before you even kick off a pen test. That's our objective with this. On the flip side, we didn't leave the blue team out, the defensive side out. You can use this tool defensively to help protect your brand and your company and your exposure. So how many of you have gone out for your companies and registered all the possible combinations of social media and domain names? Not a lot of people have done that. But wouldn't you like to know what all the combinations are? What's out there? What's your exposure? Do you have a Google Plus page for your company. Why is that important? I can pick that up and start damaging your brand. I can attack your brand. I can also use it to serve up malware or do all sorts of other stuff. I can redirect to your competition. All sorts of other things. So we did not leave the blue team out. The blue team and the defensive side, you can use this to start figuring out what your footprint is and your attack vectors. The best thing is, since it is OSINT, you don't have to touch anything. You don't have to risk anything. This is all benign and passive collection of information. You get the full picture of what your exposure is and what the world sees you as. On the defensive side, you can also see what your users are doing and if they're following your policies. If they're releasing information that they shouldn't, are they exposing things? There are tons of code repositories out there that companies have or their users have, and there's hard-coded credentials of those. There's also great things such as email archive lists, where people have gone out and go, hey, I don't know how to set up this DNS or bind configuration. Can someone help me? Here's my configuration. And they disclose all this stuff. They might be 100% aware of your information disclosure policy and your whole information training program, but they may not know the context and repercussions. As the blue team, run this tool on your domain and see what comes out. You can start working easily through it. Here's the kicker for everyone. Like I said, we wanted an easy interface. Even more so, we wanted an impactful output to help everyone. Not a bunch of gibberish, not a bunch of cool screens of stuff. Something that can actually give you metrics and help you. Because one, as a red team member, you're breaking in and doing assessments, you don't have time. Simply put in the domain of your name of your targets, let this thing run, come back in a few minutes and go, hey, let's go. The output will be a PDF report formatted for everyone. That way, we can actually demonstrate and show the whole impact of what happened. Blue team, you can take this to management and go, here's our exposure, here's our problem. A lot of people have referred to the alpha phase of this as Nessus for OSINT. We're trying, we're not even close, but this is a community tool, it's free, we're doing what we can with it. We really want people to take this and run with it and start using it so that way you can find all sorts of fun stuff. It's also a fun drinking game, I found out. So an unnamed college uses this for a fun drinking game of finding information out every time there is a critical foothold a drink is taken. It's pretty funny, but we want people to run with this and use it in a whole other way. We really want people to understand what the impact of OSINT is and that information that is publicly available. It is astounding. This has a lot of other uses and possibilities as well. Please understand, use this for good or whatnot, but use it within the confines of the law. We understand people will do things and there is no cheating and hacking. We just don't want you to go to jail. Now, the program was originally created by myself, and then I reached out to my CEO. And William Coppola, you may recognize the name, he did a lot of the curriculum, the lab design, and the lab monitoring and maintenance of the offensive security labs and curriculum. So he went crazy with this, and we've been going nuts with it, and when we unveil it tomorrow for the world, we want you guys to run with it. If you have requests, kick them up to us, and we'll go through everything. There are a lot of features that aren't out yet, but there's a lot of fun tools we're trying to clear through the lawyers first, because they're pretty impactful. There's a lot of things we're doing with Selenium and a few other plugins, so we didn't leave out the web app stuff for people. Once again, it's OSINT, so it is benign and does not touch stuff. It will be through GitHub later tomorrow evening. Free download. Everything is free on this, and we want that to stay. We don't want people running with this. We never want them to sell anything. Our intent for this is so that people will take OSINT and the process to the next level, share it, and run with it, do with what you want. Just don't profit off of this. So if you have any questions on this, you can reach out to the Twitter feed at Insider Agency, or you can contact Will directly at I forget what he calls it, but you can have fun with that. That's his Twitter name. Or you can just give us a shout. The GitHub address is there, so later tomorrow evening we'll launch that and start the process. We are shooting for a timetable of near monthly updates and adding of features. The more people get involved with this and help us out, the more things we can do faster and add more. Again, this is pretty all-encompassing, and it's pretty crazy what we can output with this. But all it requires is you putting in a domain name, hitting enter, and that's it. To install it, it'll be a process of downloading the script in Python from the GitHub repository and just run with it. We wanted things simple and easy to use, because then that way it makes it easier to mitigate, use, or implement into your workflow, and it makes it easier for you to have fun with it as well. So if you have any questions, feel free to find me or reach around here and find me, or reach out to us here at any of these addresses. I can be reached also at the Squirrels in the Barrel address, still on Twitter for a bit. But we have a bunch of big stuff we'll be announcing soon. But once again, the Skeleton Crew initiative, we strictly want this to help the community and bring the community up to another level by giving back. And again, it's not a handout, it's a handout.
Say your name again.
My name is Aaron Crawford. I'm around here tonight, just come bug me. I've got stuff. If anyone's interested, I have analog defensive measures for social engineering for free.